Welcome back to Beautiful Inside. This is Sacred 6th episode of our series, and this time I'm talking about 6 ways that I'm going to live longer. Now, I'm filming this in the beautiful Regent Phu Quoc in Vietnam, where I'm here creating some content, travel content for Beauticate. But it's actually the perfect place to take a step back and really think about what I want out of my fitness and health goals as I approach midlife. Now, you may remember in my last Sacred 6th episode, I tried a variety of different things for health and wellness, and I went and had a longevity assessment at the Longevity Medicine Institute in Double Bay. I said that I would check back in with my results and give you some tips and things that I learned about how to increase longevity. So the assessment was really enlightening. I did a series of tests, including blood tests, stool samples, body composition and Dexter Scan. I did a spirometry test, a VO2 max test, and a series of functional movement tests with their trainer Dasher. So I recently headed back into their beautiful clinic in Double Bay to get my results, and I met with Adam, and he talked me through all his recommendations. So what I've done is I've gone through and cherry-picked the tips that Adam gave me, and I've chosen things that I think most women and men could really do to increase their longevity. I'm Sigourney Cantelo, and welcome to Beautiful Inside. I've been a beauty and health journalist reporting on how to be beautiful on the outside for 22 years. Now I want to explore inner beauty as well. I've been influenced to make this shift by my own mental health journey, and it's prompted me to look for people like me who are willing to share their story. How do they care for their inner self while also attending to the outer? What have they learned about finding strength and courage and happiness in today's ever more challenging world? And what are the strategies that they've found to maintain that radiance, that joie de vivre, the inner spark that comes about when our minds and bodies are in balance? Come with me as we go inside the homes, routines, and inner lives of fascinating people. We'll discuss the science and psychology of beauty and self-care and give you the tools to look and feel the very best you ever have, inside and out. Welcome to Beautiful Inside by Beauticate, where we delve deep into the fascinating interplay between inner and outer beauty and explore how both aspects influence our confidence and self-perception. This season is proudly brought to you by Cure Skincare. Now, I first discovered Cure when they introduced me to their groundbreaking microinfusion system, which is a dermastamping innovation that uses active serums deep within the skin. It wasn't long before I fell in love with their other products, incorporating their LED neck and face masks into my routine, and I've recently been embracing their newly launched microinfusion targeted patches. What I like about Cure Skincare is that they work with leading dermatologists and they pair proven ingredients with really innovative delivery systems. And as you know on Beautiful Inside, we believe in the transformative power of taking time for skincare and self-care, and I'm all about being pro-aging with confidence. Cure shares this vision and strive to enhance our natural beauty through innovative skincare solutions that resonate with our philosophy of celebrating every stage of life with grace and vibrancy. I would recommend you jump on the Cure website and check out their amazing offerings. There are some incredible before and afters on there and videos. I also have a discount code for you. Plus, we are also running an amazing competition where you can win one of 5 of their customizable LED masks. So I'll pop both of those links in our show notes. Beautiful Inside acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land that this podcast is recorded on, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Now, these suggestions are based on the latest research and findings in the longevity space. So they're things that we can all incorporate to live longer and healthier and have a better lifespan and health span. So the first 3 are fitness recommendations, and the second 3 are around diet and supplements. When it comes to exercise, Adam talks about the 4 pillars of exercise, and he says you need to really diversify your exercise portfolio because so many of us really stick to one type of exercise and something that we really enjoy rather than really challenging our bodies constantly and, trying different types of exercise. He talks about VO2 max, zone 2, strength training, and balance and stability. So I think I have the last one pretty well covered because I've been doing yoga and Pilates for years. According to my Dexter Scan, I do have quite a lot of work to do in the strength category. What surprised me was that I actually got really good results in the functional movement tests, which is surprising to me because I've always thought of myself as chronically unsporty. I grew up with the belief that I was a bit of a runt. I was born premature. When I was a kid, I got sick with everything. I used to get every bug. I had my adenoids out when I was a kid, and that didn't really help. And then I kept getting sick. I didn't do many sports at school, and I was a really awkward teenager. I thought I was very uncoordinated. But it got so dire that when they finally took out my tonsils when I was 16, they found that they were so badly infected, and it was no surprise that I'd been sick all my life. And after that, I kind of blossomed in a sporting sense. Like I started doing kickboxing and I started doing jogging every now and then. And finally, I felt like I could do a little bit of exercise. But I've waxed and waned with my exercise routine over the years. And so I kind of still held on to this notion that I'm deficient in the sporting sense. So when I got these results, now, this was a big surprise to me. I discovered for my age that I'm actually pretty strong and flexible. I still can't believe it. So for my wall sit, I did 2 minutes and 5 seconds, which is apparently outstanding. Apparently doing 21 push-ups is above average, who knew? And my 37 centimetre sit and reach was also above average. My 1 minute 45 second plank result was healthy, although I do remember feeling like I could keep going on that one, I should have. When the trainer Dasher gave me those results, I actually almost cried. I hugged her, I was so happy because it was just, for the first time in my life, I thought, wow, I'm not as unfit as I thought I was. And it's proof that you'll only ever achieve what you believe. You know, I didn't in my mind believe that I was worthy of fitness. I still held on to these beliefs from childhood that I was, you know, unfit, unsporty, and that I really can't keep up with the rest of society. Often with fitness things, I would just give in because I thought, you know, what's the point? So this has been really important for me and a really kind of life-changing moment to really reassess my own beliefs about myself. So I think it's really great to do tests like this because knowledge is power. Once you know where you're at, you can actually work on changing some of those things. And when it comes to longevity and disease prevention, once you have, you know, a benchmark, you can actually start working to improve that and to build those reserves. Even though I performed okay with my fitness test, my body composition scan said otherwise. So the Dexter Scan said the biggest thing I need to work on is my muscle mass followed by my bone density. In fact, most women need to do this, particularly as we approach peri and menopause because our reserves drastically drop. I found out where I stand currently through the Dexter Scan, which shows body composition and bone density. So this is a really important test to do as you hit your 40s and 50s because then you know where you stand and you have a chance to really do something about it. If you can't get to the Longevity Medicine Institute, just Google Dexter Scans. A lot of personal trainers and gyms will actually do these tests for you. So it takes about 15 minutes, you lie down, your body gets scanned, and it gives you this information about lean mass, visceral fat, and these are all vital indicators for longevity and preventing age-related illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. So muscle mass is a highly predictive metric of how long we're going to live. Seniors with the least muscle mass are at the greatest risk of dying from all causes. So muscle mass declines with age from 30s and strength declines at a rate of twice muscle. So a 10-year observational study found in 2022 found that low muscle mass had a 50% greater risk of mortality and low strength had a 2 times increased risk of mortality. One study showed that muscle mass and muscle strength's association with longevity is as robust as that of VO2 max, which is the other metric that we use when it comes to longevity and fitness. My lean muscle mass was in the low range and my appendicular lean mass, which is the strength in arms and legs, was really low. It's at 5.7, which is in the 20th centile for my age and gender. So here's Dr. Adam telling me about my muscle mass.
We're starting to realise that muscle mass is almost as important as bone density nowadays in terms of
especially with menopause,
frailty when you're older,
So my first tip is to incorporate at least 2 strength training sessions per week into my routine. So I now realise that I have to prioritise strength and weight training over Pilates and yoga. So I'm not a huge fan of gyms, but I bought some dumbbells and a barbell, and I'm going to go back to the Longevity Medicine Institute and have a session with Toby to learn, you know, really good form and a good routine to perform that will increase my levels and my muscle mass and my bone density. So tip number 2 to increase our longevity is to incorporate VO2 max training into your routine with 4-minute intervals. These are longer intervals. So VO2 max is your maximum aerobic output. This form of exercise has the most data in benefit for overall longevity. VO2 max is considered the single most powerful marker for longevity. It's the maximum rate at which a person can utilize oxygen. So our VO2 max declines naturally with age. So it's really important to incorporate VO2 max specific training into our weekly exercise routine with the sole aim of slowing this decline. One way you can do that is the longer intervals. So that is basically exercising at 95% of your maximum output for longer periods. 4 minutes is ideal, and then you can have a 4-minute break. So at least 4 sets of that. 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, 4 times. really easy to remember. So to find out your current VO2 max score, you do a test on a bike with a mask on. You can see here I am doing mine. It's very intense. I almost vomited. So I found out that my VO2 max is 33, which puts me in the good category, in the lower end of good. But Adam explained that we want to build it as high as we can because it will always decline with age. So when I can fit it in and I have the energy, I've started trying to include some of these VO2 max training in, and it's really, really hard. I downloaded an interval timer. So basically you put your intervals in and you can play your music and it just beeps at you when you need to stop and start. And I kind of like soft sand running for this VO2 max training because you're on the sand, you can go hell for leather, you're not going to bang into anyone, I mean, provided you don't do it on a crowded beach. Obviously, doing it in a gym is the best, but as I said, don't love gyms. So if you don't have a beach, do it in a pool, you can swim. Cycling is good as long as you have a really open road and you're not going to bang into anyone. But yeah, I think the trick is going hell for leather for 4 minutes and then stopping or really slowing down for another 4 minutes. So tip number 3 is to incorporate zone 2 training into your routine. So at least 45 minutes of zone 2 every week. This is where you keep your heart rate below 75% of your max. So jogging, walking uphill, cycling, swimming, anything that you do and that you enjoy that you can sustain for 45 minutes. Here's Dr. Adam talking about zone 2 training.
Yeah, anything that you can just do for over 45 minutes at a standard pace, that sort of thing.
Wow, okay.
So yes, that's the whole aerobic efficiency. So that's increasing your mitochondria, making them good mitochondria.
Okay, so on to diet and supplement changes. The first one really supports all the exercise that we'll be doing. Tip 4 is to up your protein to 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So this will actually help you with the weight-bearing exercise and building lean muscle mass. So the old recommendations for protein were apparently 0.8 grams per kilogram. They're actually now saying for longevity that we should double or treble that amount, especially the older we get, because we need more protein as we get older, especially as if we're active. So for me, that's around 80 to 100 grams a day of protein. To give you an idea, that's 12 eggs. Now, I'm not going to do that, obviously. A protein shake is around 25 grams per scoop. Dr. Adam actually says that he does 1 protein shake in the morning and 1 in the evening. So if you can do that, I'm going to start trying to do that. I don't love protein shakes, but look, we've got to get our protein in any which way. Dr. Marie-Claire Haver talks about this a lot. She's a menopause doctor. She's constantly talking about increasing protein. Creatine is another way to get your protein in and increase your muscle mass. So next up is bone density. We know that once an elderly person breaks a bone, it's often very bad. Bone density declines on a parallel with muscle mass. For those aged under 65, the 1-year mortality rate following an osteoporotic fracture ranges between 20 to 30%. Over the age of 80, your life expectancy falls to 18 months following a hip fracture. So the mortality risk with osteoporosis increased by 1.5 times for every point of bone mineral density decreases. So basically, we have to increase our bone density as much as we can before any of these things happen. Weight training with progressive loading will help, but to give our bones best chance, we need to increase the minerals to strengthen them properly from a dietary perspective. So that brings me to tip number 5, increase calcium to help with bone density. So many of us cut out dairy years ago from reports that it increased mucus or that it had problems for our digestion. I know I did. If you don't have a major problem with consuming it, it can be a really good idea to incorporate it back into your diet. So for me, it's definitely the fastest and easiest way to get my calcium reserves back up. So I'm drinking milk again where I can. I still don't like it in my coffee, but I'm going to start trying to do that again. I'm doing a lot of yoga, which is great from a probiotic perspective, and cheese, going nuts on the cheese, yay! Other ways to increase your calcium: chia seeds, nuts, dark green leafy vegetables. Sesame seeds are a really great thing, so having tahini as a dressing on everything. And another great way to help bone density brings me to my final tip, number 6, and that is increasing vitamin D. It's a little controversial about the sun, but I'm a big fan of Huberman, and he talks about spending 30 minutes a day in the sun. Obviously, we don't want skin cancer, and being in Australia, we are right under the ozone hole. So, you know, we have to weigh it up. So I often actually take my lunch in the sun at home. I cover my face, but I try and get a bit of sun on my back or my tummy. I'll use a mineral sunscreen and still try to absorb some of the vitamin D. The other way, of course, to get vitamin D is to supplement. It's best to have a supplement that has vitamin K as well, because it actually helps absorption of vitamin D. So whether you choose to go down the supplement path or spending time in the sun with protection, these are great ways to help build up our bone density. So these are 6 things that we can all do to live longer. I hope you enjoy them, and I'd love to know what you're doing out of these already and if you've noticed any improvement. And doing these kind of longevity assessments, I think, is so powerful, because once you have the knowledge and you have a baseline, it gives us a chance to really tweak different parts of our lifestyle so that we can have a longer and happier life. See you later. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Beautiful Inside. If you enjoyed this, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend, leave a review or give us a rating.